Today's case is perhaps the biggest criminal scandal in the final months of 2023. The main character in this story is a name being mentioned by millions of Koreans as a master manipulator, a supreme con artist. It all began when former South Korean fencer Nam Hyun-hee, 42, suddenly announced her divorce from her husband, cyclist Gong Hyo-suk, after 12 years of marriage and having a daughter. As an Olympic athlete, Hyun-hee was highly respected, praised, and admired by South Koreans, just like other celebrities. Her career was brilliant, with countless medals from major competitions in championships, Asian Games, Olympics, and many other tournaments. Just 2 months after her divorce, in October, Hyun-hee shocked the public by announcing she would remarry Jeon Cheong Jo, a third-generation chaebol 15 years her junior. This information immediately became the focus of media and public attention. What intrigued people the most was Nam Hyun-hee's new husband. She introduced him as a former equestrian athlete who had retired due to an injury. He was running a psychological education and performing arts center for children in South Korea. At the same time, he was also the CEO of a globally renowned IT company. Jeon also claimed to be the illegitimate child of the chairman of the Paradise Hotel and Casino Group. Another noteworthy piece of information was that Jeon was 15 years younger than Hyun-hee, and the story became even crazier when they had only met less than a year ago, but she had already decided to get married. Many people looked at the couple's wedding photo and found it quite strange because they thought Hyun-hee's fiancé didn't look like a man, but more like a woman. In fact, some comments even claimed that he was a fraudster and a woman pretending to be a man. At this point, social media was flooded with information about Hyun-hee's fiancé that was completely different from what the former fencer had shared. This led to Jeon Cheong Jo being exposed as a fraudster with a criminal record. The dreamlike love story suddenly turned into a nightmare when on October 25, 2023, Dispatch, South Korea's leading online newspaper, uncovered the shocking truth about Jeon Cheong Jo. According to the report, Jeon had not only defrauded 7 victims of up to 300 million won, approximately $225,000, and served time in prison, but was also a woman pretending to be a man. In fact, Jeon was a woman capable of constantly changing identities to deceive victims, then embezzling their assets before disappearing. Initially, when there were unfavorable rumors about her fiancé, Nam Hyun-hee repeatedly stood up to defend her husband-to-be. She defended Jeon on social media and stated, she thanked everyone for their congratulations and the public's concern for her. However, she really wanted to find her own happiness and implicitly criticize those with bad intentions. At the same time, she also said she would take legal action against those who made malicious, defamatory comments. However, when Jeon's former victims presented irrefutable evidence, Hyun-hee had to face the harsh truth. She decided to cancel the engagement, cut off all contact, and didn't want to see him again. But Jeon Cheong Jo didn't accept this and continued to pursue her. She repeatedly came to Hyun-hee's mother's house to knock on the door and ring the doorbell at 1 a.m. Although Jeon was later detained by the police, after a preliminary investigation, she was released because there was no risk of fleeing. Instead, the police applied a preventive measure of banning Jeon from approaching Hyun-hee within 100 meters, about 328 feet, and prohibiting all forms of contact, including phone calls and text messages. To ensure Hyun-hee's safety, the police also equipped her with an emergency smartwatch so she could alert them immediately if Jeon intended to assault her. After the breakup, Nam Hyun-hee had to face other shocking truths. She was stunned to learn that Jeon had used her fame to commit fraud. Victims revealed that they had trusted and given money to Jeon because Hyun-hee was a famous athlete. Amidst the unfavorable rumors, on October 26, 2023, the Paradise Group publicly stated that Jeon's claim to be the illegitimate child of the group's chairman was entirely fabricated, while expressing concern about the serious damage this rumor had caused to the group's reputation. After the information was published in the media, details related to Jeon Cheong Jo's past gradually emerged. It turned out that she had studied at a livestock and horse racing school in South Korea and an advanced vocational school in Namwon, but dropped out after the first year. So how did Jeon Cheong Jo fake her identity and devise fraudulent schemes? Jeon Cheong Jo wove an outrageous story about her life, creating an image of luxury and privilege from a young age. She said, "She was born in New York and claimed to be the illegitimate child of the Paradise Group chairman. The Paradise Group in South Korea is one of the wealthiest chaebol families, similar to the Samsung Group. According to her story, from the age of 5, her life was completely different from ordinary people. Whenever she went out, even just to a cafe or restaurant, Jeon always had bodyguards closely protecting her. She proudly boasted that she had never done housework and was taught about business by her parents from a very young age. To add credibility, she occasionally spoke with an accent like Korean Americans. Continuing her fictional story, Jeon said that in her youth, she was a professional equestrian athlete. However, this promising sports career was cut short at the age of 19 due to an unfortunate accident. After that, she switched to the business field, especially in the IT industry. There are many videos showing Jeon becoming a speaker, a leader, and an expert in the business field. She often gave speeches at conferences in front of numerous students, especially about investment. One of Jeon's strongest points was her deep knowledge of investment, which she claimed to have gained from coming from a wealthy chaebol family. Not stopping there, Jeon Cheong Jo also claimed to own many successful businesses and had lived in some of the most expensive apartments in South Korea. Before the fraud was discovered, Jeon and Hyun Hee were living at Signiel Residences in the Lotte World Tower in Jamsil, one of the most luxurious residential areas in Seoul. All of this created a false image of a young, successful, and wealthy businessman, causing many people, including Hyun Hee, to believe and fall into the trap. The relationship between Jeon and Hyun Hee quickly became the center of attention on social media. In just a few short months, Hyun Hee repeatedly showed off on Instagram the luxurious gifts from her husband-to-be. The list of gifts was staggering, including $5,000 Dior bags, expensive jewelry from famous brands, and even a new Bentley worth $250,000. Jeon was no less impressive with an equally luxurious car. The couple also made an impression with a vacation at Paradise City Hotel, where room rates reached $12,000 per night. Their meeting story was also interesting, as Hyun Hee, a retired Olympic champion, owned her own fencing academy. One day, Jeon Cheong Jo came and expressed a desire to learn fencing from her because she was an Olympic champion. According to Hyun Hee, this was when the story really became murky, strange, and unbelievable. Subsequent events proved that her intuition was not wrong. Initially, Jeon appeared before Hyun Hee as a woman and wanted to befriend her. The two quickly became close through private lessons at Hyun Hee's academy. After just a few days, Jeon began to play the role of a talented investor. She cleverly presented attractive investment ideas and invited Hyun Hee to participate in projects she was developing. This tactic aimed to create an impression of a successful and wealthy woman. However, as their relationship progressed, Jeon suddenly changed the story and revealed that she was actually a man because she had undergone gender reassignment surgery. To prove it, she even showed an ID card with the number 1, which is the number indicating male gender in South Korea, while female is indicated by number 2. This made Hyun Hee believe that Jeon was really a man. This story gradually went in a crazy direction as the truth slowly came to light. The first turning point occurred when the first pre-wedding photos of Jeon and Hyun Hee were published, and her former victims began to speak up. The public was shocked to learn that a fraudster like Jeon Cheong Jo could continue to embezzle other people's assets and maintain a luxurious lifestyle in a fancy apartment. Notably, she had never repaid a single penny to her victims. When Jeon's former victims began to share their stories, a comprehensive picture of her sophisticated fraud techniques gradually emerged. Notably, among those she had deceived were both ex-boyfriends and ex-girlfriends. This shows that Jeon had flexibly switched between male and female roles for many years to achieve her goals. One of Jeon's boyfriends, when she was playing the role of a woman, was deceived by her claim of being pregnant. She used this to borrow thousands of dollars on his credit card and even his parents' credit cards. As a result, the boyfriend's entire family had to bear a huge debt. Jeon Cheong Jo also used sophisticated tactics to access her boyfriend's phone, impersonating him to approach his friends to borrow money. These friends believed that their friend was in trouble, so they sent money to Jeon, and she collected a large sum from people she had never even met. Jeon's boyfriend even met her mother, but later he discovered that the woman was actually an actress hired by Jeon. This sounds unbelievable, but there really is a service to hire people to pretend to be parents, friends, or anyone you want. These actors will follow the script you provide, including details about the past and the relationship between the two people. With each boyfriend, Jeon Cheong Jo often pretended to be pregnant and used this reason to extract money from them. She used images taken from the internet or from some source to fake that they were ultrasound images of the baby in her womb. She even demanded housing allowances and other expenses from the victims. Another sophisticated tactic in Jeon's fraud toolkit was playing the role of a savvy investment expert. When approaching a new group of friends, she would skillfully introduce an attractive investment opportunity and persuade them to participate. She had to frequently change social environments because her tricks were eventually exposed. Many victims were captivated by the promise of huge profits and entrusted all their savings to Jeon, even borrowing from banks to invest, only to realize that it was all an elaborately staged play. Looking back at Jeon Cheong Jo's past, we see a worrying record of a professional fraudster with multiple encounters with the law. In 2019 alone, there were 7 lawsuits against her for fraud and deception. The peak of her audacity was when Jeon organized a fake wedding in which she played the role of a man and married another woman. Although the legality of this marriage is still questionable, the ceremony was held openly and solemnly. Throughout this process, Jeon skillfully deceived the bride's family that she came from a noble family. And incredibly, she had staged such an elaborate, fraudulent wedding when she was only 22 years old. At that time, Jeon had used chest binding to pretend to be male, making the woman believe she was a real man. Friends of Jeon's ex-wife also confirmed that they were sure she was a man. The most astonishing part of the story is that Jeon's ex-wife spoke up and revealed that Jeon had told her that he was actually transgender, had undergone surgery to become a man, and could therefore make her pregnant. Jeon even said it was an advanced surgery only available to the wealthy. The ex-wife really believed she could get pregnant with Jeon. However, doctors have confirmed this is completely impossible. After marriage, the couple lived in an expensive apartment, and Jeon told his wife, "I think you're pregnant," and gave her a pregnancy test. When she tried the test, it showed 2 lines, making her believe she was pregnant. But later, it was discovered that there are fake pregnancy tests or tests designed as pranks. These pregnancy tests always give a positive result when exposed to water or urine. Jeon Cheong Jo had used fake pregnancy tests to trick her ex-wife into believing she was pregnant. And amazingly, this girl really believed it. What puzzles many people is that although Jeon's story about gender reassignment surgery was clearly fictional, her ex-wife still strongly believed in her ability to get pregnant. This raises the question, how could such a blatant lie fool the victim? It seems Jeon had developed an astonishing psychological manipulation skill, able to convince others to believe in completely illogical things. As for Hyun-hee, who was almost Jeon Cheong Jo's second wife, she said, Jeon didn't actually have implant surgery. This means Jeon was still biologically female. So why did the first ex-wife and others believe she had undergone gender reassignment surgery? This makes the story even more complicated and confuses people about who is telling the truth and who is lying. Hyun-hee also revealed that during the time she and Jeon were together, they hardly had much intimate time, and if they did, the lights were always off, preventing her from clearly seeing Jeon's body. However, Jeon still insisted she had undergone surgery, and Hyun-hee was also tricked into believing she was pregnant. Jeon Cheong Jo had used the same tactic by giving her fake pregnancy tests, making her believe she was pregnant. This had led Hyun-hee to truly think Jeon had undergone some high-end surgical procedure that only the rich could access. Jeon Cheong Jo had created an entire fictional story and pulled those around her into the imaginary world she created. This has led to controversy about whether Hyun-hee was truly a victim or could have been part of this fraud. Currently, Hyun-hee is also being investigated by the police on suspicion of involvement in fraudulent activities, causing the public to raise even more questions about her actual role in the whole incident. When a person is in love and has deep feelings for someone, they can easily trust their partner. According to Hyun-hee, Jeon not only pretended about her gender, but also created a story that she had a terminal illness. She even went into the bathroom and pretended to cough up blood, which was later discovered to be fake. This shows that Jeon had exploited others' pity and compassion to get what she wanted. According to witnesses, when Jeon Cheong Jo pretended to be male in her relationship with her ex-wife, she believed completely because everything around Jeon was professionally staged. For example, when getting into Jeon's car, the driver would play the role of an actor, calling her boss and announcing the day's schedule, as if she were really an important figure. Jeon had staged an entire movie about her life, making everything seem so real that people around couldn't realize it was just an act. Jeon had manipulated her gender to defraud money from people. This is truly insane. Another example of Jeon's deception was when she wanted to impress Hyun-hee, a celebrity and Olympic athlete. She hired fake paparazzi and media to burst into the restaurant where they were dining, all just to create a staged scene. While they were having dinner, fake actors playing reporters began asking questions like, "Are you really the CEO of a large corporation? Zrania, do you have a relationship with the Paradise Group?" Component placement. I hear you have one of the largest inheritances in South Korea, is that true? Jeon Cheong Jo would pretend to refuse, but this only made those who didn't know the truth believe that she was really a powerful and wealthy figure. The dinner attendees, including Hyun-hee, had no idea that everything they witnessed was staged, and they completely believed in this fake story. All of this shows that this was not just an ordinary scam. Jeon had used the money she embezzled to create a fake world, from hiring actors, cars, to staging entire events to trick people into believing she was the heir of a Chaebol family. This story has far exceeded the normal limits of deception and manipulation, showing the level of insanity and complexity in the plan that Jeon had implemented. Hyun-hee also recounted that she received messages from Jeon's father, whom she thought was the CEO of the Paradise Group. However, the strange thing was that when she received these messages, Jeon was sleeping right next to her. This led to speculation that she might have created these messages in advance and used an app to schedule their sending. Clearly, Jeon had taken advantage of this to stage the entire fake situation. Another incident that surprised Hyun-hee was when she and Jeon were preparing to fly abroad for a vacation. Jeon had arranged for her a type of VIP pass usually reserved for special athletes or politicians. This made people question how Jeon could do that, as well as her financial capacity and connections in the mysterious world of fraud. In reality, Jeon Cheong Jo had been arrested and imprisoned multiple times for her fraudulent behavior, including a 2-year prison sentence. During her time in prison, she continued to deceive by pretending to be pregnant to receive better treatment from fellow inmates, and they actually believed this until they discovered it was just another scam. Jeon seemed to have gone further when she started her relationship with Hyun-hee, even undergoing breast removal surgery to completely transition or pretend to transition into a man. However, many believe that Jeon is not actually transgender, but only did this to maintain her image and achieve her goals in her world of deception. Experts have analyzed Jeon's behavior and suggest that there are no signs that she is truly transgender, but rather someone who can flexibly switch between genders to serve personal interests. Currently, the biggest controversy revolves around whether Hyun-hee is truly a victim or if she might also be involved in Jeon Cheong Jo's frauds. Although Hyun-hee has insisted that she knew nothing about those deceptive acts and only trusted the person she was about to marry, some of Jeon's victims believe that Hyun-hee might have known or even been involved in the incident. In particular, some money was sent from victims to Hyun-hee's account, not Jeon's account. Hyun-hee explained that she didn't know about this and believed it had nothing to do with her. However, this is still a mystery and is being investigated to clarify. In initial interrogations, Jeon admitted that many things in her story were not true, such as not coming from a wealthy family and not having undergone gender reassignment surgery. She blamed Hyun-hee and claimed that Hyun-hee knew everything and even advised her to undergo breast surgery to maintain the fraud story. This has led to a blame game between the two. Although Hyun-hee has declared that she is completely uninvolved in the incident, her image as a talented Olympic athlete has been seriously damaged. On October 31, 2023, Jeon Cheong Jo was officially arrested. According to the police, Jeon is accused of embezzling after receiving 20 million won, about $15,000, from a victim under the guise of investing in app development last August, and pocketing over 100 million won, about $75,000, claiming it was for investment in an ongoing overseas project. After receiving a criminal complaint against Jeon, the police conducted an investigation and arrested Jeon at a relative's house in Gimpo City, Gyeonggi Province. Subsequently, the police also arrested a suspect named Lee, who is believed to be an accomplice who helped Jeon carry out the fraudulent activities. Jeon Cheong Jo's fraud scheme has truly shocked and shown the sophistication of fraudsters in manipulating emotions and weaknesses of others. According to experts, fraudsters like Jeon often take advantage of victims' vulnerabilities and trust to embezzle assets. Jeon's deceptive character from a young age proves that this is part of her nature, and it's not surprising that she carried out large-scale and elaborate fraud schemes like this. At the trial held at the East Seoul District Court on February 14, 2024, the prosecutor requested a sentence of up to 15 years in prison for Jeon's fraud and impersonation. However, the court sentenced Jeon to 12 years. In the trial session before the final sentencing, Jeon had said, "I promise that I will rectify the damages I have caused, even if it takes a long time, and prove my commitment through actions. I have and will always repent for my actions." However, on February 16th, the East Seoul Public Prosecutor's Office stated that because they did not accept the verdict of 12 years imprisonment for Jeon and 1 year and 6 months imprisonment for accomplice Lee in the first trial on charges of fraud, they have filed an appeal. The prosecutor decided to appeal in Jeon's case on the grounds that, although she had previous fraud convictions, she continued to commit crimes on an increasingly larger scale, causing serious damage to many victims. The money Jeon embezzled was used for her personal luxurious lifestyle without the ability to recover or compensate the victims for their losses. Her criminal behavior seemed not only aimed at financial gain, but also to satisfy a desire to live in luxury. This demonstrated the seriousness of the case and Jeon's lack of remorse. Therefore, the prosecutor decided to appeal to seek a more severe sentence for her. The prosecutor also disagreed with the first trial's verdict on Lee's role in the case, where the court only considered Lee as a simple accessory. The prosecutor pointed out that Lee was not merely a supporter, but had actively participated in criminal activities. Specifically, Lee provided supercars, high-end housing rental rights, and fake credit cards to Jeon. He also directly managed and handled 2.2 billion won, about $1.65 million, of the damage money, while embezzling a portion of the profits from criminal activities. Therefore, the prosecutor concluded that Lee's behavior did not stop at the level of simple accomplice assistance, but should be considered as part of the main crime in the case. Although Jeon seemed capable of creating and maintaining complex scams on her own, the possibility of having help from others or having accomplices cannot be ruled out. This is particularly noteworthy in large-scale fraud cases, where there is often involvement from multiple individuals and organizations. Jeon's case is not just a cautionary tale about the sophistication of fraudsters, but also a testament to the power of psychological manipulation. Jeon's ability to create and maintain complex illusions, even going against logic and science, shows the potential danger of professional fraudsters. In today's information age, we need to be more vigilant to protect ourselves and those around us from people like Jeon, who are ready to take advantage of others' trust and lack of knowledge to carry out their dark schemes. And that's the case for today. What do you think about this case? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below so we can discuss together. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.